In a quiet, rural village of Maquon, Illinois, everyone knew Rick Young, a retired police chief, a neighbor, a friend. The kind of man who'd stop and fix your fence or check in on your dogs. But in October of 2022, that friendly face was found inside of a storage unit, decomposed, hidden away for nearly a year. And the person responsible wasn't a stranger, but the woman he shared his life with for nearly 2 decades. A slow, calculated poisoning, a hidden body, and a motive that reads more like a twisted crime novel than real life. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Friday Night Campfire Stories. This is my series, Far From Fiction. I'm Rob and I will be your host of this unsettling true crime tale. Before we dive into this shocking case of betrayal, murder, and deception, a quick reminder, I got 2 big things happening right now. First, our channel is trying to push to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of August, and your support makes that possible. If you love true crime, chilling mysteries, and eerie storytelling, hit that subscribe button. You will not regret it. Second, my brand new book, The Hollow Season, officially drops on August 1st. It's packed with dark stories, perfect for late nights and the uneasy dreams, and as we head into the fall season or the spooky season. Pre-orders are now open. You can pre-order the e-reader version on Amazon. You can also pre-order the paperback on Barnes & Noble. The links are down in the description. The physical copy will also be out on Amazon on August 1st. And for my loyal true crime lovers, stick around to the very end of the episode and I'll tell you how to enter into a giveaway for a signed copy of my book, The Hollow Season. My little thank you for being a part of this little spooky community. But now, let's get into today's story. Maquon, Illinois. Population, barely 200. It's a quiet place that vanishes into the endless grid of Midwest farmlands. Rows of corn, quiet streets, neighbors who've known each other for decades. The kind of town where folks leave their doors unlocked, and gossip travels faster than mail. For most, Maquon is peaceful, unremarkable, just a speck on the map of Knotts County, Illinois. But beneath the surface of the quiet village, a deadly secret was festering. At the center of it all was a man everybody knew, Richard Rick Young. To his friends, he was just Rick the Cop, a 71-year-old retired police chief who spent decades serving Maquon and the surrounding areas. Even after retirement, Rick was the guy you call when your car wouldn't start, when your dog got loose, when you just needed someone to lean on. Rick was known for his sharp sense of humor and the heart that leaned towards service. He wasn't just respected, he was trusted. But behind every small-town success story, there's always more than meets the eye. Enter Marcy Oglesby, a familiar face in Maquon, known mostly for her long-term complicated relationship with Rick. Their relationship had spanned 20 years, filled with ups and downs, but always circling back to each other. Locals knew them as a pair. They shared a home, they shared bills, they shared history. But what no one realized was that Marcy was hiding more than just relationship baggage. Beneath the surface, prosecutors would later say Marcy had a plan, one that would end with Rick dead, his body hidden away, and bank account drained. It's impossible to say exactly when Marcy Oglesby decided Rick Young had to die. But prosecutors believed by the summer of 2021, the wheels were already turning. The motive? Simple on the surface, but sinister underneath. Money, control, and maybe a way out. According to investigators, Marcy had been siphoning money from Rick's bank account, draining them slowly, over $60,000 in total. That money wasn't going towards groceries or bills. It was fueling a secret plan to buy real estate and perhaps run off with a man that she had met online named Sonny. But Rick wasn't playing along. He refused to fund her plans, and with that, the relationship already cracked and started to crumble. That's when Marcy turned to an unusual weapon. It started small, a few drops of clear, nearly odorless liquid, tetrahydrozoline, the active ingredient found in over-the-counter eye drops, perfectly legal, readily available, and in large enough doses, potentially deadly. One night, Rick sat in his favorite chair. Marcy had fixed his usual coffee, but this time, it wasn't just cream and sugar. In her mind, it would be quick, quiet, and undetectable. Maybe she imagined him getting drowsy, slipping into unconsciousness, and that would be it. But Rick didn't die that night. Instead, he simply felt off. Sluggish, nauseous, maybe even confused, but alive. And so, Marcy tried again, and again, and again, and again. Day after day, she laced his food, his drinks, slowly increasing the dosage. All while Rick, a retired police officer, a man trained to spot danger, never suspected the threat was coming from across the kitchen table. And it all began with something small, as a few drops of liquid. Each day, the routine continued. Rick's coffee, laced, his meals, tampered with. Day after day, week after week, Marcy watched the man that she shared a life with for nearly 2 decades wither away. At first, the changes were subtle. Rick grew more tired often. His appetite faded. He started losing weight. But he brushed it off. Maybe it was stress. Maybe it was age. Maybe the lingering effects from COVID, which had robbed him of his sense of taste. A cruel irony that allowed Marcy's poison to go unnoticed. But Marcy wasn't brushing it off. With every dose, every calculated addition to his food and drink, she pushed Rick one step closer to the edge. And finally, on November 1st, 2021, his body couldn't fight anymore. That morning, Rick Young, the beloved retired police chief of Maquon, took his last breath inside his home he shared with Marcy. No 911 call, no ambulance, no tearful pleas for help, just silence. Marcy's plan had worked, but the story was far from over. Because hiding a body in a small town in Maquon was about to become Marcy's next challenge. Rick Young was dead, but for Marcy Oglesby, the crime wasn't over. In the hours after his final breath, she didn't call police, she didn't tell his family, she didn't grieve. Instead, she got to work. Investigators say that Marcy placed Rick's body inside a large cardboard box, sealed it, and left it hidden inside the home for days. But even Marcy knew that the secret couldn't stay in the house forever. That's when she turned her attention just across the street. A storage unit, convenient, private, the perfect place to stash the truth. Marcy rented it under her own name, packed the box containing Rick's remains, and moved it there quietly, unnoticed. For nearly a year, the storage unit sat undisturbed. No one questioning Rick's absence. Marcy told neighbors he was simply gone, moved away, staying somewhere else. But bodies have a way of refusing to stay hidden. By October 2022, whispers already started. People near the storage unit began to notice an unbearable stench. Rot, decay, something dead. Concerned, they asked Marcy about it. Her explanation was simple and dismissive. It was probably just a dead possum, she told them. When pressed again, she shrugged it off. Old clothes, maybe garage, anything but the truth. But the smell didn't go away, it only got worse. Finally, on October 7th of 2022, police were called. Officers arrived at the storage unit, pried it open, and found the box. Inside, the decomposed remains of Rick Young. Confronted with the discovery, Marcy's story collapsed. First, she denied everything. Then, as evidence mounted, she admitted what was inside. But the full truth, that would take time to unravel. With Rick Young's remains discovered, the quiet village of Maquon became the center of a full-scale homicide investigation. It didn't take long for detectives to realize that this wasn't an accident. There was no signs of external trauma, no evidence that Rick had fallen or suffered a medical episode hidden deep in the tissue sample that raised immediate red flags. Toxicology reports revealed dangerously high levels of tetrahydrozoline, the active chemical found in common over-the-counter eye drops. In small amounts, it's harmless, but levels in Rick's system were lethal. Medical examiners also found abnormally high concentrated amounts of an antidepressant that Rick had been prescribed, suggesting the drug had been interacted with, compounding the deadly effects. The final cause of death was poisoning. For all the investigators, all signs pointed to one person who had daily unrestricted access to Rick's food, his drinks, and his home, Marcy Oglesby. Detectives executed search warrants on Marcy's home and the storage unit. Inside, they found everything they needed to paint the picture of the premeditation. Receipts for a large purchase of eye drops, a pill crusher, evidence of financial transactions, Marcy draining Rick's bank account to the tune of nearly $60,000, and messages suggesting that she had plans to leave town, possibly with a new love interest that she met online. But the most damning evidence came from inside the home. Rick's death had been declining for months, a slow, steady descent into weakness, confusion, and ultimately death. It matched the patterns of somebody being poisoned day after day. In October 2022, Marcy was arrested. The initial charge was concealment of a death, but as the investigation unfolded, the charges grew fast. By February of 2023, Marcy faced counts of murder, attempted murder, aggravated battery, and financial exploitation, and more. But even then, the legal twists weren't over. In March of 2023, due to speedy trial violations, some of Marcy's most serious charges were dismissed, but that wasn't the end. Prosecutors had fought back, appealing the dismissal, and by November of 2023, the murder and attempted murder charges were brought back. Finally, just a couple weeks ago, Marcy stood trial. The courtroom was filled with tension as 26 witnesses testified, from forensic experts to neighbors, even those closest to Marcy. Over 50 exhibits laid out the case, toxicology reports, receipts, bank statements, and the heartbreaking details of how Rick Young's final months played out. And just last week, on June 26, 2025, after weeks of testimony, evidence, and chilling forensic details, the verdict was finally delivered. Marcy Oglesby, guilty. The judge found her responsible for the slow, calculated poisoning of Rick Young, the concealment of his body, and the elaborate cover-up that followed. It was a case built on deceit, betrayal, and quiet cruelty, and it ended in the same small town where it all began. Marcy is scheduled to be sentenced on September 3rd, 2025. Given the severity of her charges and the undeniable evidence and her age, she faced the possibility of having the rest of her life spent behind bars, or at least decades. The residents of Maquon, a town where everyone knows everyone, are left shaken, because when danger comes from outside, a stranger, a headline, people lock their doors. They stay alert. But when the danger comes from across the dinner table, from someone you've trusted for nearly 20 years, there's no lock strong enough to protect you. The story of Rick Young and Marcy Oglesby isn't just a case of greed or a toxic relationship turned deadly. It's a reminder that some of the most terrifying threats don't knock on your door. They live with you. They share your meals. They know your routines, your weaknesses, your trust. And sometimes they use that trust to destroy you. Because when it comes to the darkest parts of human nature, the most dangerous monsters are the ones we never see coming. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed the video, consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. We're getting so close to 1,000 subscribers, but I definitely need your help to get there by the end of August. Don't forget, I upload 3 full-length videos every single week. On Mondays, it's Echoes of the Past, where we dive into the haunted corners of history. Every Wednesday, you'll get a true crime case right here on Far From Fiction. And we close every Friday with the Friday Night Campfire Stories, original horror tales designed to keep you up at night. Speaking of horror, I've got a new project that I'm so excited to be sharing with you guys. My brand new horror anthology, The Hollow Season, officially drops on August 1st. It features 6 unique and terrifying stories crafted with more depth, more scares, and more professional writing than anything I've written so far. I truly believe it's my best work yet, and I can't wait for you to experience it. And to celebrate, I'm giving away 3 signed copies of The Hollow Season, one for each of my series, Echoes of the Past, Far From Fiction, and the Friday Night Campfire Stories. Here's how you enter. It's super simple. Just be subscribed to the channel, like, and comment on any of my full-length videos between June 30th and July 25th. That is it. Every time that you leave a like and comment on the video, you'll get another entry. So the more videos you interact with, the better chances that you'll have. I'll be announcing the winners on July 26th, so make sure those notifications are turned on. And before you go, mark your calendars for this Friday night. We'll be kicking off a brand new story of the Friday Night Campfire stories called Perspective. I can honestly say it's one of my favorite stories that I've released so far on this channel. It's one story told through two very different perspectives, and trust me, you won't see what's coming next. The thrilling first chapter drops on Friday, and you won't want to miss it. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, some stories are far from fiction. As always, thank you for spending a little bit of your evening here with me.